stuffy for sure. I have to have something in my
Yeah.
arms, and my dog like doesn't like to be in my arms. So,
Yeah.
he'll cuddle close, but I have to have the stuffy. So I have a Pokemon stuffy, but it rings with
Oh,
my
so
theme.
cute. Yeah, hell yeah.
We are live.
Yes, we are live. I'm kicking off my VPN. Maybe
Oh,
I'm kicking it off. Yes, it is now off. Okay. I forgot to bring stuff up on my phone. I'll do that in a second. Hi, everyone who is in the chat. I'm going to, at some point, bring up my phone so I can see the chat and everything else that's going on. But is somebody, do we have an echo? Do I hear
That was
echo?
me.
Yeah, but
Okay.
But I fixed it.
Okay, fantastic. Silima, everyone, we are here today. We have a very special guest, Sachi, the Seer, and purveyor of many amazing things. And we're going to have her go through a whole big introduction. But before we do that, by the way, today is October 30th, 2024. We are going to take a quick look at some point, probably midway through the call today. We're going to take a look at the upcoming forecast. And happy Halloween, if anybody celebrates. Old Irish New Year, Old Gaelic New Year, which is what we usually do over here, being, sort of the Gaelic traditionalists and whatnot. What were we talking about? Oh, we're doing the introductions. Okay, so
Yes.
everybody knows who I am. I'm Abigail Quinn, whatever. If you Google me, SumerianAstrology.com, all of my information is in the video description. Obviously, this is my channel, so you probably are a little bit familiar with me. I have a ton of cool stuff on my website, you guys. I have free Sumerian language lessons, like the only place you can get legit Sumerian language lessons. Okay. I mean, outside of a university, you're not going to find it. There's a few books out there, but it's not really going to cut it. I also have an ancient astrology course. Nothing else like it. Okay. It will blow your mind. It's 15 hours of intense, awesome video just for your viewing pleasure. And that's pretty much all about me. Nikki Fryer, do you want to jump in and tell everybody out there what you do?
Go ahead, Nikki.
all right, so I'm an astrologer. You can get a hold of me. My email's down there. I do readings. My day job, I work in the cannabis industry, and I don't really talk about it much because it's super taboo, but I help a lot of people and I love what I do. So yeah,
that's what matters.
That's all that matters, really. You have to love what you do. But anyway, I do readings, so get a hold of me. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm terrible at these introductions.
The introductions are always awkward and uncomfortable.
Dude,
it doesn't matter who you are.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times I do these, too. I'm like, I don't know. What did I say last time? I don't remember. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Fryer, your turn to
Okay. All right. Let the discomfort commence. I'm Friar Pezzle, and I am a student of the esoteric perennial philosophies. And what I like to do the best is to help folks out. And I do that through compassionate listening, and I do it through spiritual coaching, and I do one-on-ones. And you can find me at friarpezzle.wordpress.com, or if you want, you can just send me an email at friarpezzle@gmail.com. No dots.
You guys, my husband's laughing at me. I don't know if you can tell. I have like their little reindeer horns here. Reindeer is like a derogatory word that they use.
Oh.
Yes. So they have they have real cuss words too, but they also have like really tame ones. Like they'll be like blin, or
Right.
it just means pancake, but that's like a really bad word, or they say like Elaine, like if you're a bad driver, they'll be like, oh, like stupid Elaine. So he's making fun of me. I just
Gotcha.
him.
So what is a reindeer?
Oh, I think you look cute.
Thank you. I appreciate that. A reindeer, Elaine, that's what it's called. Like Elaine. It's like a little reindeer, like a little tiny one, I think.
But what's the implication? What's the implication?
Just you're a bad driver. I don't know. I have no idea.
You can't lead Santa's sleigh.
Yeah, like I have no idea.
You bad driver.
Good one. I didn't think about that.
I equated it to, does this have something to do with Dead Moroz, like Russian Santa Claus and him driving his reindeer and they're not like, or is there some hidden story where they veer off and crash into? I don't know. So I'm not real sure. If anybody out there knows, let me know. Okay. Sachi, now it's your turn to get uncomfortable. Tell us about
Okay.
yourself, what you do, how you got to this point, and let's go from there.
Sure. So my name is Sachi, and you can find me at Sachi the Seer on most platforms, previously known as Sachi the Scorpio. And I guess let's see. Well, currently, my wheelhouse of work consists of various different types of readings, particularly tarot and Pokémoncy readings. I'm also an astrologist. I am a true sky astrologist, meaning that I use the real sky for my calculations. And so I do chart hacking, which is basically how to understand your chart in a way to utilize it to accomplish whatever goal you want. The baseline is to embody your chart to your highest self by understanding the highest expressions of what those placements are. I also include fixed star analysis, which includes some fixed stars that are not part of the zodiacal ecliptic, but still very important when we think of our galactic history. So that is also included. So you get a little bit of a history lesson as well. I am also the co-owner of the True Sky Crew that I have with my partner Janine at Inner Sky Alchemy. We have our own podcast where we do True Sky Astrology sessions. It's currently on hiatus because my partner is moving across the country at the moment, but we also make True Sky Astrology tools. So we have like a daily planner and a calendar, and we have a lot of really amazing things coming up in calendar year 2025. And then I'm also co-owner of the Spiritual Gym Leaders, which is the bridge that is the spiritual world and the Pokeverse. So my partner there, Zuby, who is Gym Leader Zuby, her and I co-created Pokémoncy, which is divination through Pokemon cards. And so we have been bringing our gifts to the Pokemon community through that. And we also make different spiritually infused Pokemon items and the such. So we do quite a multitude of things.
Hey, you sound super busy.
Thank you. Yes, but I definitely
that's
still
a lot.
prioritize my rest and movement and trying to stay as well-rounded as I can as an individual.
Yeah, that's like a ton of stuff. Nikki, I think your washing machine was eating itself. So I did mute you for a second just while she was, I didn't know if that's what was happening or the werewolf got loose over there. I'm not real sure. But I did feel free to unmute yourself at any time, obviously. Okay, so Sachi, how did you get to, I speak for the vast majority of astrologers, I think, in the West anyways. When I say that most of us came to astrology, like we found tropical astrology because that's what there was, right?
Yes.
And then we figured out something was seriously amiss and we veered off course and, went in our direction. So what can you tell us, like, what was your story? How did you get on that path?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in general, most people are innocently indoctrinated into tropical astrology because it is the default setting of astrology for the time that we are living. So kind of where I got to where I am in astrology is also part of, I guess, where I got to this in my career as well. It kind of goes a long way back. So I started studying astrology when I was 9. So I used to cut out the horoscopes and put them in a notebook, and I would interview people at recess and just ask when their birthday was and ask how their day went the previous day.
Sounds familiar, Nikki.
I would just take notes, just to see if there was any validity. By the time I was in 7th grade, I got horoscopes banned from my Catholic school.
That will happen, yes.
Yeah, because
you're lucky you didn't get banned
validity
from the Catholic school.
Oh, they tried. So I always had this very scientific based approach to astrology. I've never blindly believed anything in my life, especially my upbringing, considering the schooling that I went to. And so I always had a very analytical and data-driven mind. So I began in tropical astrology for quite some time. And so I ended up going into the sciences, into molecular biology and neuroscience. So I have a really hard science background. And then once I was finished with university, I worked in material science for a while. I managed an R&D lab. And that was around the time that I started really getting into astrology. I had started doing readings professionally, and I was getting really into astrology on a daily basis. By 2017, I was posting about it. I had a small online community, and I was telling everyone about the Great Conjunction that's coming and telling people, you know, you're going to see societal collapse like you've never seen it before, end of 2019, early 2020. And I'm giving this window, you know, citing exactly what's happening in the cosmos and stuff. And of course, I was using the tropical algorithm. So the prophecies were rather dystopian, which I believe there is quite a link there. And, you know, I'm working with a bunch of scientists at the R&D company, and many of which have PhDs. And I'm telling them and the business side, which I was basically the Rosetta Stone between the board, CEO, and the science team. And so I was telling them a lot about, you know, what's happening, telling them my approach, and they all basically, you know, called me crazy, thought I was, you know, a little out there and nuts and stuff like that. But I was like, it's okay, time will tell. And so time progressed. And then once what happened happened, you know, I kind of was like, hey guys, see, I told you know, that sweet kind of I told you so moment. And they all denied that I had been saying this for years, even though it was very clearly I was. And so that was really soul crushing to me. And that actually started my astrology business, because I realized I was just really in the wrong environment. And it really gave me such a huge perspective of people who claim to be scientists. I mean, they are academically trained, you know, have PhDs, they have their doctorates, yet they have no space for what is outside of their indoctrinated mind. I am literally following the same standard procedure that they are. You know, I'm creating a null hypothesis, I'm collecting my data, I'm sharing my data. And once we reach this conclusion, it fails to refute my null hypothesis. Yet, not only were they denying it, they were saying, gaslighting me, saying that I never said any of it. But it's like, then what were you calling me crazy about for years, you know? So that really kickstarted me. And that's when I launched my business and started doing my spiritual work full time. And so I already was in a very data centric space when it came to astrology. And then so my now partner, gym leader Zuby of the Spiritual Gym Leaders, her and I actually like quit our jobs together and got a house together and started our businesses together before we founded the Spiritual Gym Leaders. And we were actually teaching a class on timeline jumping with the power of the unicorns. So I was teaching it from a mathematical quantum mechanic perspective, and she was teaching it from more of the elemental healing perspective. And so it just happened to be on calendar day 8/8, which was commonly referred to as Lionsgate. And during that time, I thought it was Lionsgate. And we were doing our timeline jumping, which was like to your highest vibrational timeline. And after we finished that class, we had our true sky awakening. And we just happened to download a sky app and looked at the sky, and we were like, why is the sun in Cancer? Literally, the entire world is talking about Lionsgate. We were just talking about Lionsgate, and what timeline did we jump to? And so we were really, really shocked. And immediately when I saw the difference between what mainstream astrology, what the tropical algorithm was teaching, and what was actually happening in the actual cosmos, I immediately sounded the alarm to all my followers, which I lost plenty, because there's so much cognitive dissonance. And it's, you know, it's very interesting because I find the same thing from, you know, the people that I worked with, a lot of the scientists that claim to be scientific. It's the same with the spiritual community. If you offer them information that they are unwilling to see or hear, they have the same opposition to any sort of new information. So,
Yes.
you know, I've obviously found the same thing, but that is how I had my true sky awakening. And ever since then, I've never looked back or never looked down. I guess you could say I'm always looking up to the actual cosmos to see what is really happening in the celestial heavens above.
Okay, I have a really serious question for you.
Mhm.
What gener are you, like Gen X, Gen Z? Like, where are you, Gen Y? Where are you at? I don't know how old you are, and it's
I'm
rude to
I'm a
ask.
millennial.
Okay. So hopefully you're like within the age range, although it may not matter. What do you remember, Sachi? Payless shoe store or Payless shoe source?
Oh, Mandela effect. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know plenty of those. So Payless isn't one that I've noted.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. It was always Payless shoe store. It's like one of the most frustrating. Okay, Ed McMahon, do you
That's
remember him delivering giant checks?
No, I was pretty I wasn't allowed to watch television for most of my life.
Okay.
Or
Pikachu's tail. Pikachu's tail.
so Pikachu's tail, when I was younger, I remember it a little bit differently. So, but now that that one's a hard one.
Okay.
Because I had like colored it personally differently with like the edge on it, but I do remember it being the way that it is now. But
Okay.
like Fruit of the Loom is one that is completely different for me. Like I remember the cornucopia.
It was there. It was for sure
JCPenney
there.
is different. Yeah. The mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Luke, I
Yeah.
am your father. All of those I remember. So it is quite bizarre. I also very much remember Mother Teresa becoming a saint during my early childhood because I went to Catholic
Was
school
that
and
mid 90s?
Yeah,
Late 90s?
late 90s,
Yeah, didn't
maybe
they
early
do some?
2000s.
And
Yeah,
when did she actually officially now did she become a saint? You know? I see you like she's like, I
Let
gotta
me
check it. I gotta
see.
look.
Yeah, I do. I don't want to
Fryer,
give
any good
incorrect
Mandela
data.
effects while we're on the topic that you can think of?
No, I can't think of
Man,
any.
you weren't just ready to roll one out. I'm surprised.
I don't know. I
And
feel
then-
like it's gaslighting because Payless Shoe Store they were going out of business and they made connections with like Shopgo and some department store, and then when they put their little Payless shoe source in there, that's when they changed it. So I don't know. I remember that because I used to shop there because I got shit for shopping there once. And this friend of mine who was like, "You just buy those cheap Payless shoes," and I was like, "Oh,
Man, that's all.
we're Vans."
That was like
that was
fancy
horrible
for us. That was
I
like,
thought it was good.
Yeah,
I was
we
like,
were
where
like-
do you shop?
Yeah.
But I remember that. So I feel like it's gaslighting. Like, you don't really remember this. You don't really know. Like, I don't know, getting us to not trust our own memories and intuition. But I do remember that business deal going down.
And Saint Teresa was canonized in 2016.
No way.
But I specifically
No way.
remember.
No, I swear to God.
I went to Catholic school and we celebrated it. It was like a huge thing because
it took a long time.
Like fast tracked.
Yeah, like it took way longer than anybody thought it would because it does usually take a long time. But then they were like, no, we miraculously got it done like super fast. And there's no way it was 2016. That's insane. I'm not buying it for a second. I suspect that's like a mass timeline jumping for everyone.
Yes, I would agree.
Look up astrology says Bernstein Bears. That was a big one.
That one's a big one. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that because my grandma would buy me those books and force me to read them to her. And they were big words and I was scared and my grandma was scary. So I remember that shit. Like that was definitely
Yeah.
Okay. People who are like gaslighting other people saying people who are gaslighting other people saying that you don't like remember it. Part of it is that they probably just don't have a grasp on the quantum reality of life, because when timelines are separating and converging, these things can happen. That's why like various groups remember something so clearly while another doesn't, and now we're collectively on a timeline where it is one way versus the other. And it's like you really have to be able to hold two opposing memories and accept them as a possibility of actually happening to be part of the quantum reality. So people who want to deny Mandela effect, especially those who remember it themselves and try to self-gaslight. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
How many retrograde planets do you have in your chart, Sachi? I'm curious because
Yeah, I'm curious what you have in Virgo.
yeah.
So I have quite a bit in Virgo. I used to have a 6th house stellium. So my Jupiter is in Virgo. But what was the other question before? Oh, retrograde
Retrograde.
Oh,
planets.
retrogrades, yeah.
Yeah, just Mercury.
Oh, so you're internalizing
A
and
lot of that.
processing that data and yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that
I love it.
data
Think
people
for
don't
yourself.
realize. Virgo, you get so many like data analysis, math people. I'm not a math person. I have strong
Yes.
Jupiter. It does not show up with math in particular. Although like music and language, which is it's very mathematic in nature, but my dyslexia does not allow for actual addition and subtraction without trouble. But that Virgo is definitely it's got a lot of that. And
Yeah,
data
I still
analytics
have a
and whatnot.
strong 6th house. And yeah, Virgo is very, very data driven. And that's because they rule over system management, basically. It's the attention to the details and also the system management. That's why they're so good at picking out what is wrong and like red penning things, because they can see from that larger perspective and be like, okay, this data point doesn't make sense. Yeah, I really appreciate a lot of Virgo energy. I've had a lot of Virgos in my life that actually were Virgos.
Real Virgos, not
Virgos,
wannabes.
real Virgos, yeah.
That's good. Hey everybody out in the chat, thanks for jumping up and saying hi and whatnot. There's a lot going on. Not sure. Zubita Zwina says How To with John Wilson has a great / funny episode on the Mandela effect. Okay, can't get enough Mandela effect, you guys. Like, I will watch them all and I will be furious at all of them. Look, no, that's definitely not what was going on last time. So Look Up Astrology says, oh my God, I am that grandma now. I hope I'm not scary. Oh, I don't know.
Oh no, this is
the one that made you read.
Oh, that makes me read.
Yeah,
I guess choose your texts wisely.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, that's a whole nother show.
Okay, Sachi. The big question that is on all of our minds, I believe. I'm reading Friar's Mind. I don't know for sure, but I assume too. So give us the lowdown on Pokémoncy. Yes, Pokémoncy. How do we say it? Yeah. Oh, Pokémoncy.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Good. Okay.
So it's actually a very interesting story. It was during the time before I had left my last Matrix Muggle job, whatever you want to call it. So I was actually, I've always been part of the Pokemon community. I've always loved Pokemon. When Pokemon Go came out, I got into it even more. And I was really deep in my tarot journey, and I was like, let me combine the two things I love. I'm going to create my own Pokemon tarot deck. And so I had Pokemon tarot written on my whiteboard. I was sketching some ideas for like a long time, probably about a year, and nothing was coming to fruition. And I was like, why? And I've always been a vintage collector. I have a huge Pokemon collection. And one day I had purchased some Pokemon cards and they were sitting right next to my tarot space. And I was like, oh my God, I can just open these cards and use them to bring psychic messages through. And so I decided to go on live and just test it for my followers. And the accuracy was incredible. So I was like, wow, there really is something to it. Within probably about 2 weeks of that time, I connected with my partner, Zuby, who at the time went by Illyby. And so I connected with her, and she had created Pokémoncy as well. So we independently created Pokémoncy and met within months. And
did you guys like come up with the same meanings and stuff for everything, kind of? Like, was it similar?
So the mythological lore of Pokemon is the same. The Pokedex entries are what they are. The anime is what it is. The manga is what it is. So there's a huge wheelhouse of knowledge to be pulling from. So per card, it is different. We can both get the same card and have a different interpretation. And that's just, just like if you were to have two tarot readers who pull the Empress, they may have completely different interpretations based on either what question is being asked or whatever sort of reference, frame of reference there may be. Like I can pull the same card in two different readings, Pokemon card, and it will have two different meanings. So when we first developed it and met each other online, we immediately became each other's readers. And so we were each other's psychics for quite some time, and we exchanged readings. And then after months, we decided to meet in person. So we went on vacation together and got like a little vacation house. And then, we were kind of joking like, oh, we should quit our jobs and get our house here, da da da. And then the next weekend after that vacation, I flew out to see me, and I was like, hey, my lease is up in 2 weeks. So if we want to do this, it's now or it's a year from now. And we decided, let's do it. So when you know, and we were getting so many signs and signals from the universe, and even had some like deities come to us and say, like, this is what you're meant to do. This needs to be established. You will get help. You will be supported. And all of that is true. And so, yeah, we quit our jobs, and our third date was shopping for houses, and our fourth date was moving in together. So, if it was any of my clients, I would say, hey, that's a little crazy. Like, are you sure? You okay? But again, when you know. And we, had exchanged readings, so we knew each other's soul at that point. It wasn't like, we were meeting from an online dating site or anything like that. We were very, very connected. So then we started perfecting the craft of Pokémoncy. And so we started doing collaboration readings together. And then we started doing Comic-Con. So we've traveled the country and brought our gifts everywhere. It was really amazing. We actually met Veronica Taylor, the original voice of Ash. And she was like, wow, I'm so amazed by you guys. I'm so proud of you. And I was just like, we were crying. I was like, oh my God, Ash just said that. So it's been a really, really beautiful experience. And, Pokémoncy is such an incredible tool because so I'm a tarot reader before Pokémoncy, and Zuby is a rune reader before Pokémoncy. And so when we first started doing psychic fairs, we were doing all three together. And so the types of messages that we are able to channel and bring in are so in-depth. But tarot and runes aside, when we do Pokémoncy alone, which is what we've done at Comic-Cons and so on, the level of detail that Pokemon cards can get is just so much more in-depth than a typical tarot and rune reading. And that's because just the amount of data that is in the cards.
We have a question in the comments. Matthew Blake asked, so the Pokemon card interpretations are just purely subjective based on the context?
No.
Okay.
I mean, no matter what reading you're getting, there's going to be some sort of subjective input because there's the human element to it. So, sure. For example, if there's a Squirtle card, right? There's obviously going to be some sort of emotional new beginning because Squirtle is a water starter.
Obviously.
Yeah, right?
I don't know you guys. I don't know anything about Pokemon. So
okay, I'll stick to the Kanto, which is like the original, right? Okay. In the games, you choose between Bulbasaur, which is grass, Charmander, which is fire, and water, which is Squirtle.
Yeah,
so Squirtle's picked, intuitively I know, okay, this is a water starter. So I can look at the card art and pick up on maybe what's happening there. That might be what energetically I'm being pulled to read from is that. I may read the dex entry and focus on the information that is in there. I may get a vision of a certain anime episode that I've seen of like the Squirtle Squad, for instance, of like, okay, I'm picking up on the people you're around. There's a Squirtle Squad around you. Who's wearing the big glasses? Are you the front man or are you in the back sort of thing? So it really depends on, again, just like a tarot reading. You pull the Empress, of course, people are going to be like, oh, divine feminine, abundance, fertility and things like that. But the reading is never going to be the same. So, of course, there's a subjective element to any reading.
So, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Continue.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, so We've had a few people in, so like if anybody out there cares, we have a meditation support group because we don't actually meditate in the group. But we have a support group every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. And we've had a number of people who read either tarot cards or some, type thereof. And it seems to me that they come in two different groups. You have like your purists who are like, no, this means this, and this is the only thing that it can possibly mean. And then you have savages like myself, and probably to an extent my mom, who, by the way, guys, is like a master medium. She is going to be on in a few weeks. I'll give you that information some other time. So, like, subscribe, share, whatever you got to do. But like, we just go with whatever the card is, get a general sense and then kind of let the information flow. So it sounds, what I hear as on the savage side of the tarot, spectrum, I'm just hearing like it's a mix. Like, yes, we're going with some of what the card's saying, but also we're going to let the psychic information flow. Right. Is that about right?
I would say in general, that is correct.
Okay.
So I know the standard meaning of cards. Right. So like Raider, Waite, Smith, type information. And I actually teach that in my Tarot 101 course. But when it comes to channeling information, and that's the thing, some people just read cards, some people are actual channelers. So I am a channeler. I can get information that are outside of the tarot. I can get information that is outside of the Pokeverse. Right. If you are going to ask a question like, what if I go to the party tonight and wear red shoes, what's the difference between if I wear white shoes or something like that? Like timeline differences, timeline shifts, and things like that. Those are so detailed information. Maybe you meet someone named Brandon, for example. There's a Pokemon card with Brandon on it. Maybe there is, right, like how
many Pokemon cards are there?
Oh God, tens of thousands.
Oh, okay. So you've got a lot of options instead of like 78,
correct,
cards or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a question. Do you feel like you base a lot of your readings off of the element that pops up then with the card? So if it's popping up that you have like a Pokemon that uses electricity or something like that, so you're going to consider that more of like a communication card, something along those lines? Is that, or sometimes, or is it just purely?
It depends on how I'm feeling called to read it. So if I'm more, if I feel called to the element, then yes, an electric energy would be more of like your nervous calm system and how your electrical regulation in your body is and what's influencing that. So yes, I do focus a lot on the elements because that data is very important, but I may also feel like, okay, this is about your solar plexus because it's yellow. So it really depends. And I think that's also a difference between some people who like to go just textbook, which, each deck has their own interpretation. If you buy a new tarot deck, that's why they have a booklet, because the artist is the one giving you that information. Information can be inherent, but when it comes to like level of details of answers, it's always good to actually be able to channel. And I think that's the benefit of having a reader who has their clairs on. So whether they're clairsentient, claircognizance, etc., versus someone who's just looking at the cards and giving you the data. Because if you just want to look at the cards and get the data, you could just look it up yourself.
Yeah, I don't think that's as much fun.
You could just pull cards and just look up the meaning.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you're not getting a channel of information.
Or even go to like an online oracle.
Yeah, or
like,
AI.
Like a
I've
robot.
seen people like ask AI and stuff, and that's fine. But yeah, elements stuff is very, very important. And even like, for example, like fighting type cards, which is in correlation to the sacral chakra. So fighting type cards encompass fighting Pokemon. They also, like rock type and ground type, don't actually have their own card. So they're all in fighting type cards. So when it comes out, it may be a fighting type, but if it's a rock type Pokemon, I may be like, okay, well, this is a rock type, so we're going to focus on the groundedness and et cetera, et cetera.
Matthew was
So it's
asking.
very
That
nuanced.
makes sense.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Yeah.
No,
mean
it's
to
okay.
interrupt. Matthew's
Oh, you
asking
didn't
a
interrupt.
question that I had too. He says, how do you decide to build? I think it says the deck. The little things in the way, so it's hard for me to tell. Are the actual cards you select intuitive too? Yeah, because if there's like tens of thousands of them, how do you like decide what to do?
So we have so many different decks, and there are a lot of different ways that we feel called to create them. So, for example, we have actually sat with probably, I don't know, 30,000 Pokemon cards and intuitively chosen or intuitively just like picking them and building a deck. And we'll usually set an intention. This is for this. And then sometimes, like this is probably 2 years ago, our decks actually communicated to us like you're meant to combine us all together and reorder us in a different way and assign a certain Pokemon to each deck. And so we did that. Zuby and I have also built sister decks. That's our Ponyta, a Galarian Ponyta unicorn deck. And so we actually have 2 decks that have the same Pokemon but different cards from different sets that we use in our collaboration readings, specifically if we're focusing on healing or helping timeline jumping. And then some decks build themselves. So when we do something like Pokémoncy pack opening, which is where we open a pack of Pokemon cards and then just read the messages in them, we actually have a deck of all the cards that we've opened in that way, which is another deck. And so we have like a traveling deck. We have, I know Zuby has one where she it's just connecting with the mermaids. She has one just connecting with the dragons. She has one connecting with the fairies. For me, I have like an ancestral deck. I have a relationship deck. So they're really, the decks tell us how they want to be made usually, or we choose a specific topic because we can feel the type of clientele that's coming in and the guidance that they'll need, and we build it. So some of them are very, very intentional, like our double unicorn deck, Galarian Ponyta deck, where we sat with each other, read every single card, and we asked ourselves, like, is this an energy of the highest vibrational timeline? Yes. Okay, it's in. Let's find one that matches it. And some of them are not so nuanced. And obviously some Pokemon cards hit on some really dark topics that even tarot doesn't touch. So
like what?
Like
capturing poor animals and like confining them so that you can fight with them later.
Well,
slavery.
Technically, Pokemon have to consent to being caught.
Okay. Okay. I trust you. I don't know.
Their spirit consents for that trainer, except the Master Ball, which I do have some issues with the Master Ball because it does go against free will.
Okay.
However, you get one of those a game, maybe if you're lucky. But yeah, I do have some issues with Master Ball.
Okay.
But oh yeah, so some of like the darker things, like for example, there's a Pokemon that gets so angry. It's called Annihilate. It evolves from Primate, from anyone who may know that. It goes Mankey, then Primate, that's like Gen 1. And now Annihilate is there. And it's because it gets so angry that it dies and turns into a ghost Pokemon. So just like, you know, when that card comes out, it's an indication like, hey, you really need to deal with your anger, or it could kill you. Like it could put you into, you know, your body is not going to respond to anger well. So you need to do something to get it out of your body so that it doesn't take you over. There's also various Pokemon that have to do with curses and how those curses are placed upon you. So that really helps, you know, with someone who might be dealing with like a darker energy like that. Like, okay, there's a curse on you. Well, what is it? Is it an item? Is it a spirit? Is it a trainer that did it to you? So trainer meaning like another person. So yeah, there's really just a multitude of things. And, you know, the Pokeverse, even though, you know, Pokemon is for children, the lore is really, really in depth. And a lot of it goes into Japanese mythological history, which is not known for being child friendly.
I think most world mythologies are not child friendly, probably most of them. Yeah. Friar, you're very quiet over there. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I'm going to show you the power of this fully operational Google spreadsheet.
Oh, okay.
Google spreadsheet.
Yes. Are you ready? Are you ready for the trial?
I'm so ready. Bring it on.
I'm going to ask a series of yes, no, or pass questions
Okay.
for our
And it
guest.
requires a spreadsheet. I mean, I trust
It's
that
that
it
Virgo
does. I don't-
energy. Woo.
I would imagine you wouldn't bring it up if you didn't.
Okay.
All right. We have
All
here.
right. So, for our guest, actual vampires, yes, no, or pass?
Like bloodsuckers?
Actual vampires.
You mean,
So-
wait, hold on. Is the question, are they real?
Interpret it as you will.
Oh, okay. So
Oh,
all right.
I will say, are they real? Do they exist? Actual vampires, yes. I've met some.
Ancestral guides.
Absolutely.
Ancient aliens.
That one's a little bit tricky because there's a lot of interpretation of what ancient aliens is, but I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Actually, I grew up in an ancient aliens household. My mom is a proponent of that. So from a very
My
small
mom
child,
too. It must
she
be
was
a
like-
mom thing.
yeah, she's like, the Bible's correct, but aliens.
Angel
So-
numbers.
Oh yeah.
Arranged marriages.
Well, of course they're real.
Yes, no, or pass.
Yeah. I know people who've had arranged marriages.
Astrocartography.
I am not sure. I have not studied enough of it personally to say yes or no. I have a lot of data of people who say yes, but I'll pass on that one until I'm more informed on that.
Copenhagen interpretation.
I'm not sure what.
Yeah,
the
what the heck is that?
Copenhagen interpretation-
Yeah.
That is a quantum physics theory.
Oh,
Okay, let
well,
me
that was
look
that was like kind of a curveball out of compared to all the other stuff. Okay.
Just you wait, young Jedi.
All right.
see.
I'm waiting.
So yes, no, or pass.
I'll pass because I'll need to research it.
Demons and angels.
They are real.
Dowsing rods.
Never used it, so I'm not sure. I'll pass on that one.
Divining rods.
What
They're
kind of rods?
Divining rods.
I know
Like-
you can use
Like for water, like the water divining rods, you know?
That's
isn't
a
it a
dowsing rod.
dowsing?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
it's the same thing, isn't it?
I mean,
Nope.
like a divining
Type
rod
of
would be like a
divination.
chicken bone or
Sort of.
something, right? Or
divi-
using like a root.
The divining rods are those things that people hold and they cross or do not cross.
That's why that's the same thing you do
Oh,
with
okay.
the dowsing. It's a divining
think
rod
so.
of sorts.
I'll pass
Nope.
because I've never used that either.
So
Empaths.
just so you know, Friar, I feel like I'm learning so much about Sachi just now. Like I'm like learning so much about her just from her answers. So go ahead,
This,
continue.
this is the power of my spreadsheet.
I
I
believe
Empaths.
it.
love it.
Empaths.
Empaths. I think everyone has an empathic and empathetic ability. I think the general term of empath is really misunderstood a lot in terms of kind of an overactive and hypersensitive nervous system. But I think for the general sake of validity of people who might be there, I'm going to say yes.
Energy healing.
Oh, absolutely.
Enneagram.
I mean, it's real. It's a thing.
Yes, no, or pass.
The type of weight that it holds. I'll say yes. I think it's an interesting tool.
Enochian.
So in terms of Enoch, what is this referencing?
Well, this is a speed test. So yes, no, or pass.
Okay, I guess pass.
Fasting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flat earth.
I don't know. I want to go to space to check for sure. I guess I'll pass on that one.
Gnosticism.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yes.
Guardian angels.
Yes.
Harry Potter.
You're real, Harry. Like as if the Potterverse were real. I don't know. I guess I'll pass on Harry Potter.
Ice
I
baths.
pass on it too.
Ice baths. Yeah, I mean, people do them. The benefit, I'm not sure. I'll pass on that one.
Incubi, succubi.
Oh, yes.
Jyotish.
You know, yes, I really do think that Vedic holds a lot of information, but I there's a lot of reasons why I would stay away from it, but I do think it is a valid and useful tool.
Yes, no, or pass.
Maybe
I think
not
that was a
useful,
yes.
but yeah, I think
Sounded like a
yes. Yeah.
Sounded
Law
like
of
a yes.
attraction.
Yes.
Lucifer.
Another interesting one. Well, yes, as an entity, Lucifer absolutely existed.
Mandela effect.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Manifestation.
Yes.
Mediumship.
Oh, absolutely.
Mud floods.
Yeah. Mud floods as in the purposeful erasure of cities and such, I'm assuming. Yes.
Multiple timelines model.
Well, yeah.
New World Order.
I'm gonna say no to collapse its existence.
NLP.
I'm not sure what that is, so I'll pass.
Numerology.
Yes.
Only ones.
I don't know what that is, but it reminds me of like OnlyFans. I'm gonna pass because I don't know what it is.
All right. Ouija boards.
Ugh, they definitely exist, and I will never use one again.
Yes, no, or pass.
Really? Oh my god, I like never have any like problems with like why does everybody hate on the Ouijas?
Well, I think because most people use them as like their first gateway. That was my experience when I was really young. My parents got me a Ouija board, and we accidentally summoned demons and opened a portal in the basement, and it really caused a lot of chaos for years.
See, everybody can summon shit. I'm the only one over here. Like, come on.
Well, good. Then you're protected.
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah,
definitely don't want to
Nikki,
summon
they're
things like
they
that.
don't want what you got going on. They're like,
Yeah.
no, we
No.
can't handle that. They're like,
All
no.
right. So Ouija boards. Yes, no, or pass.
They're real. Yeah, they work,
So yes.
Yes.
but I recommend to not use them.
Paganism.
I mean, yeah, of course, I think there's no doubt that paganism's real. There's plenty of paganisms or plenty of pagans.
Polygamy.
Yeah, that's real as well.
Psychoanalysis.
Oh, God, the Freudian. But I guess in general, the school of thought of psychoanalysis, I'll say yes.
Reiki.
I'll pass on Reiki for now. It's definitely real. Well, I guess yes, it is. It's real. It works.
It's complicated. I get it.
It is.
I have an opinion about Reiki.
Me too. Yeah,
too.
some of the symbols. Maybe just keep it as a pass.
Okay.
Yeah, let's pass that.
Reincarnation.
Yes,
Ritual magic.
absolutely.
Scientism.
I'm not sure exactly what that means, so I guess I'll pass.
Sex magic.
Oh yeah,
Soul contracts.
yes.
Soul traps.
Pass. I'm not sure what that is.
Spirit guides.
Yes,
Star seeds.
yes,
Tarot.
yes.
Tartaria.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. I guess I'll pass.
The Fae.
Absolutely.
The Illuminati.
Yeah, they're real too.
Thelema.
Yes, that is real.
Transurfing.
I don't know what that is, so I will pass.
Twin flames.
Yes, they are real.
UFOs.
Yeah,
Witchcraft.
absolutely.
All right. Thank you for playing.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's funny.
So these are my beliefs dated as of calendar year 2024 on October.
Okay, I have a question for you. I'm afraid I don't know if you have like follow-ups, if there's like a, like she wins a prize. I'm not real sure what's
Yeah, do I win a prize? Did I answer?
Yeah,
correctly?
what's going on? I was answering as you were
score.
going too.
This is simply a method of inquiry.
Oh, okay. So, Sachi, going back to Jyotish, what's your because I have my opinions about it, not unlike Reiki. I'm just curious though, like what's your aversion? It sounds like you have an aversion, I assume.
Yes,
Can I
a
ask
little
about that?
bit. So I studied Vedic for a couple years, so by no means am I an expert in this specific area, but there are quite a few things. One, it's a lunar program, so that really brings in a whole new level of understanding of the interpretation. So, obviously, it's part of the lunar matrix, and that has a lot of kind of entrapment implications. There's also
It does? What do you mean?
well, so when we consider the moon as an unnatural satellite, we know that it's older than our solar system. So the moon was artificially placed within our solar system.
I don't know that for sure. How do you know
okay.
that? No, that's if that's what's
Well, I
happening, but
guess
like how do you know
if
that?
if we're going to accept the data that is provided to us from NASA and so on, it is dated older than our solar system.
Okay, this is I'm not trying to I'm good at being the devil's advocate. I'm not trying to do that right now. I've literally never heard. I mean, I've heard
No, it's
that
okay.
like some people think it was like a satellite and they pulled it in and whatnot. I haven't heard the thing where they thought that it's actually older than our solar system. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. I'll check it out. Okay, so continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
Or older than the Earth or something like that.
Okay, I'll look into it.
Yeah, and then so obviously when it comes to the lunar matrix, a lot of it is emotional programs that can keep our soul stuck here. That is a personal belief. But so yeah, number one, it's a lunar program rather than a solar. So it's based on a celestial body that does not hold its own light. It is just a reflector. And so that holds its own energy. There's also the issue currently that they use 27 lunar mansions instead of the original 28. So they got rid of kind of like how they tried to hide Ophiuchus. And so they got rid of the it's like the unbeatable one, kind of same energy, like the undefeatable one or something along those lines. So they took out a specific lunar mansion. I believe it's nestled between what is currently the 19th and 20th. And so there is obviously that manipulation within that school of thought, at least currently. And they also, which is kind of like my issue with, I mean, obviously tropical has its own issues, but sidereal in general, Vedic sciences, they have the unnatural 30-degree segmentation anyway. So anything that really doesn't reflect the actual cosmos, I do have an issue with just from a pure data perspective. Additionally, the way that because the changing of the ecliptic over time, and even I guess what I would consider the lunar ecliptic, if that's a word, they haven't really updated their model for that either. So some of the stars that they assign for certain nakshatras aren't really applicable during this time. And then some of the mythological history is also kind of disturbing. But I guess, a lot are, but, specifically.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
really,
pretty much all of them are pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ancient Sumerians, though, they told some really nice stories. Theirs were a little bit more, I don't know. They weren't as rapey, right? I mean, as the Greeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They weren't as
the lunar
rapey.
mansions were historically created because like the father was hunting down his daughter to try to rape her, and it's just kind of weird, and that's how they were created. So yeah.
I was not expecting that much. I thought you were gonna be like, it's not it.
Yeah, that was a lot.
That was pretty detailed.
I've never studied it. I just know a few astrologers that use it, and they use it very well, and they've been able to just get it down to an exact science. And
it is.
I totally respect it. I just never felt drawn to it. it is interesting, all their interpretations. And so what about this one that they removed? What do you know about this nakshatra that they were like, get rid of it?
Yeah, I know it was encompassed, I believe the very end of Sag into Capricornus. And yeah, it was known as like the undefeatable one, the one that cannot be defeated or something like that. So honestly, it's been a long time since I've utilized that information, so I can't really recall a lot of it, but I remember it kind of holds a lot of the same like Ophiuchi codes as well. One other thing that I'll say that I've really found a difference, you know, obviously when I switched from True Sky or from tropical to True Sky, I got a lot of hate from the tropical community, you know.
As to be expected,
I definitely caused quite a stir, and a lot of people who I loved and respected in that community were really just terrible to me, you know, telling people block her, she's lying, this, that. And it's just like, whoa, like that is insane to tell your followers to block someone, to hide them from information, most of all.
No kidding.
But anyone with a mind, you know, will be whatever. But when I started speaking out against the Vedic stuff that I was finding, that is actually when I received my first death threat. So like the Vedic,
see, they are fatalists.
They like
they're pretty, they can be occulty, sure.
Intense. Like, you know, I mean, obviously a lot of tropical people aren't super deep into it because obviously if you start studying astrology, at least with a little depth, you end up somewhere else. But yeah, the Vedic community was so gung-ho. Like I had people trying to put curses on me, death threats. I was just like, holy, these people are like really like, I don't know, anything that makes you that disturbed and deranged obviously has an issue in itself.
Right. I can't imagine the type of curses that are falling out of them when, you know, they're so full of anger and hatred. Like, oh yeah. I'm sure your temple is just so clean and so perfect that you're able to just cast spells like they're nothing. Yeah. I'm not very scared.
I don't know if there's
be very scared if I were you.
If there's any Zechariah Sitchin or Zechariah Sitchin. I don't know why we say Zechariah, like it's not, it's Zechariah, but okay. Any Sitchin fans out there, if you've ever read the 12th planet, that's a whole giant conversation, okay? But when it comes to the moon, he does go through and he talks about the Epic of Creation, the Babylonian Epic of Creation, which does talk about, he does use the real text. Now he makes a few assumptions here and there. And, you know, he assumes in some places that they're in spaceships and whatnot, but he recognizes also that the Mesopotamians layered their information. They took real historical data. They put, you know, modern, whatever was going on at the time. They took astronomical calculations and they kind of just superimposed everything into there. So when he's talking about that, he says that the moon, he says that the Sumerians say, which they don't specifically say, okay, he's like, you know, he's extrapolating. He says that the moon is actually the head or skull, I believe this, I'm repeating it correctly, of Tiamat. So if you know about the story, she's slain by Jupiter Marduk, who like rips her apart. And at one point he takes a club and like, you know, bashes in her head or something. Or no, it was her, it was Kingu. That's who he's saying. That's like her new consort. And basically the moon was pulled into orbit from the what remained of the Tiamat planet, which is now the debris in the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter, and that it kind of because if you guys don't know, not to go all ancient aliens or even give Sitchin too much, you know, credit or anything, because he's definitely way off on a lot of stuff, but there was definitely some sort of orbital displacement of the planets early on. And almost every ancient culture that goes back where they have like stories about that stuff going back that far, they describe something. So it's not totally woo, but that in itself is, you know, like according to Sitchin, which I think that's one of his better theories, is that the moon is actually just a remnant of what was left it from one of these other planets or whatever. Because it is wonky. I'm not gonna, you know, my thing was the dating of the moon, you guys, specifically if any you guys, like, internet people out there, if you guys are like on board and have a second, like shoot me a link or a video. Like I'd love to see it as far as like the dating goes for sure. Okay. Speaking of the moon, let's take a look at the where everything's at today. If you guys are up for it, let me see here.
Yeah, we have a new moon coming up on
Yes,
Thursday,
we do.
right? Oh my gosh. I know I
Friday.
could feel the energy coming down just the last week. Everybody's like, what the hell's wrong with me? I'm like, I don't know. It's a new moon.
I'm sharing the screen. Can you guys see my screen?
It's different.
Nothing's
Yes.
wrong with you.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's just the new moon. It's just the energies. There's a lot going on for everybody. A lot of people I see every day have a lot going on.
Some of that I wonder too, how much is it like chaos in the environment that they're feeling?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is it your phone? Like put your phone away, shut your phone off for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's madness in the United States right now. Running
Oh
up
my
to the
God.
election, it's out of
That's
control.
right. Oh my
Mhm.
God. I try to disconnect from everything. I've been trying to just not be on
Wisely.
not watch TV. The ads are just horrible.
Yes.
It's horrible. My God. It's
Well,
horrible.
hopefully the forecast isn't too horrible. We're gonna.
No.
I'll go through it real fast, and then on Nikki, Sachi, Fryer. I don't know if you want to take a look at it too. But I'll give you. We'll all just look at it, and anybody out there, have any questions about something coming up this week, which is gonna run us. If we're doing Wednesday to Wednesday, it's basically today the 30th up until November 5th. But as you can see now, some people would count this. I mean, if we're using the actual, hold on, where's our constellations over here? If we're using this, constellation, then technically it's the sun still in Virgo. But I mean, I would already count this like well into Libra. Really anything in my experience, anything east of Spica is already pretty intense Libra energy. So you guys don't hear me talk too much about the sun being any particular planet or whatever. I mean, it's very seasonal, and that depends on the hemisphere of the planet you live in. It's also very cultural, like what goes on in the fall season in the northern hemisphere. Kids go back to school, we start harvesting. It's a lot of, the same stuff. It's not really interacting right now with any of the other planets. So, I wouldn't put too much emphasis on it one way or another. Now, I do think this Mercury over here, Mercury was very similar in Mesopotamia to kind of the current meanings. The only thing that the Western side and even the Vedic side doesn't get is that Mercury was associated with water. Yes, it was an intellectual, cognitive planet, but it was also the water planet. If you read the Babylonian omens, they all talk about like movements of Mercury dictating the floods, the bounty of, the waters. Are they going to have lots of fishes and birds, fowl, food and whatnot? There was also associations with rain, and anytime you had water in Mesopotamian myth, it was all related to fertility, creativity. And so Mercury is an extremely creative planet. But here in Mercury, it does set us up to be much more intellectually sensitive to the people in our environment. Which, if you're in a career where you're listening to other people, if you're like a coach, counselor, or something along those lines, it can really help you read your clients, your audience a little bit better, even in your own family or neighborhood, your community. This can definitely set you up to be a little bit more attentive, maybe to what other people have going on. Now, while Venus is conjunct with Antares, this can also set you up for some of additional psychic empathy. So it was interesting, Sachi, hearing you talk, the thing that Fryer, his quiz or test, or I'm not sure what we would call that, when you're talking about like the empathic ability. I make the distinction. So like true psychic empathic ability, in my experience, comes from the heart chakra. And so it's like a connection that usually close loved ones or people, they're resonating on the same frequency and stuff, feel with each other. Although some people, unfortunately, depending on what's going on, do seem to pick it up from the ambient environment, and it can wreak havoc. It can just generally suck. But here, this close to Antares, anybody out there, if you're in a toxic relationship, a toxic work environment, or just generally have like life-sucking people around you, this is very unfortunate. And I don't usually see a lot of negative stuff out there in the chart, but this can really make you really, really sensitive. So going back to what Nikki said, these people who are just having it, it's running rampant. They just don't understand what's going on. This can actually just be them feeding off of they're just feeling everything around them and it's chaos. So that's not always the best placement, unless of course in your natal chart, you have something in there that naturally protects you from this. I mean, this is a general forecast for all 8 billion people on the planet. We don't know exactly how these things are going to affect you unless we look at them in particular. Saturn is still swinging back and forth through Aquarius, so that's not quite as not quite as interesting right now. Jupiter still hovering around here. In the Hyades, a very creative placement. Taurus was associated with Mercury in Mesopotamia, so this was another potentially either bringing or holding back the waters and the floods and the creativity. There's a lot of service going on in here, but this is a slow placement. But the Hyades in particular were, except they were associated with lightning bolts, thunder, rain, and storms. And so just real intense creativity. But Jupiter was Enlil, and this was a power planet. I mean, he was the master of the universe. Okay, so I still don't get the expansion. I have no idea. My brain cannot wrap around what expansion is even supposed to mean. But generally speaking, it's power. So if you're in a creative field, this should be a really great time for you. If you have strong Taurus, this is probably, going to increase like energy and whatnot. Mars is still right here hovering between Gemini and Cancer. Mars is at home in Cancer, so this was the access point to the underworld, or one of the two, in Mesopotamia, and Mars was the god of the underworld, Nergal, and there he lived happily ever after with his loving consort, and they had lots of intercourse, and it was very, going back to like how the Mesopotamians wrote their stories, they were very graphic and detailed, a lot of innuendo, fun stuff, you guys. Ancient history, Mesopotamian history might not sound like it's fun on the surface, but it's definitely pretty cool. But this is kind of him going into his home. Technically, Gemini, these were aspects of Mars. This was Lugalira and Meshlemtai, and they were just epithets for Nergal, this planet right here. But this was him more in his like sensitivity side. Also very protective. These two figures were dressed originally as warriors, and they were guarding the entrance to the underworld. So it's kind of leaving the more protective emotional side and going deep down into like the deep dark center. So one of the cool things about Cancer is it was known as which first of all, it wasn't a crab, it was a frog, or not a frog, a turtle. It was called the seat of Anu. And Anu was the supreme celestial creator deity, like the first god in Mesopotamia, at least according to the Sumerians. So what they're saying here is if you have strong Cancer, there's something going on in Cancer, you're going to use this Cancer energy, you have access to like all of the cosmos. And if you think about it, I don't know the exact opposition here, but I mean, there's it's close to the access point to in Capricorn, which it originally would have been a long time ago, like thousands and thousands of years ago. But it's still that other side, the other entrance over, is close to Sagittarius, close to the galactic center. So we're still pulling a little bit of that into. But this when it does go in, and we have a few days still, it can, if you have a strong Cancer or even a strong Mars, be prepared to maybe be a little bit more introspective in your head. Meditation will solve most of your problems. Okay, so good luck with that. All right, who wants to go next? Nikki, Sachi, what do you guys got for our wonderful viewers out there?
Well, Mars is in opposition with Pluto right now, and he's already sort of in that Cancer, boundary anyway. With Mercury being in Libra, I think we have a lot of like our own connections and family connections and relationships on our mind, and being in opposition with Pluto, I think we're also like reaching for our spiritual family too, searching for that as well, trying to find purpose in our relationships. Back to like Venus. Venus is in opposition with Jupiter right now, and Jupiter's in retrograde. So there's a lot of that past patterns coming up. It might be, you might be painfully holding on to old shit. And you're just going to have to, let that go. Could be experiencing that. Feeling like thinking you might be, you're having some unrealistic expectations when it comes to relationships and maybe business partnerships. That's just kind of on the shadowy shadowy side of that. But Saturn and Jupiter are squares, so there's going to be, they're both retrograde, so there's a lot of like that past garbage coming up, I think, for a lot of different people. It's just what I've been seeing, what I've been experiencing.
Okay.
But yeah, I think this cycle is about harmonizing our, dualities, harmonizing our, attempting to harmonize our dichotomies and the things that are just kind of pulling us apart. So that's, yeah.
Okay. Sachi, what do you got for us?
Yeah.
So for me, I do my calculations a little bit different. So, and we do this through the True Sky Crew as well, where we actually take the point where the sun is on the ecliptic and then draw a perpendicular line to the pole star. And that's how we do our calculations. And so for me, the sun is still in Virgo because it has not left the last fixed star associated with Virgo yet. So for me, the new moon in Virgo on Friday is really a new moon that helps solidify a lot of the things that the timeline shifts that we went through in regards to Virgo energy through the eclipse cycle that we just experienced. And so because it's in the foot stars of Virgo energy, I get a lot of soul retrieval energy through crown chakra activations and a lot of angelic energy coming in, since Virgo is the angel of the zodiac. And so there can be a lot of light body activations and things like that happening. And I always say, like, Virgo, in terms of, being the angel and anchoring in heaven, I really just equate that to utopian timelines. And so really focus on a lot of your routines, health habits, organizational structures. Heaven is in the details. So really focusing on those and making sure that around this new moon, like, to focus on those particular things. We also have a grand trine the moment of the new moon between Mars and Mercury and Neptune. So it's a really great time to speak things into existence from the ethers of Neptune. So anything that you've been imagining or daydreaming and want to bring to fruition, it's a really great time to speak it into existence through Mercury, and then also take action with Mars. I would definitely recommend, like, if you're going to talk the talk, to walk the walk on this new moon, and that's really important. And that is that Virgo mutable earth energy, is like, the only way to do it is to do it. So really making sure that you're embodying this energy. There's no way to do it other than to embody it. On Saturday, November 2nd, we have Mars is aligned with Rigel Kent in Centaurus, and Mars is at Lucida and Montecero. So with Mars aligned with a star in Monteceros, there is some timeline jumping activations there. Monteceros is the unicorn, so lots of good timeline jumping stuff. But with Mercury at Rigel Kent, really want to be aligned with Rigel Kent, I should say. Really need to be careful of being over confrontational, especially with Mercury in Libra, which is all about our personal relationships. So Rigel Kent is a star that kind of got hijacked in galactic history. There's a lot of, like, war stuff that is associated with it. So just making sure not to have these, like, false me versus them energy, obviously, especially with the election coming up. Really stay away from that kind of, like, mentality and behavior.
That's probably good advice all the time.
Yeah, that is definitely true.
Great.
And then I guess on November 5th, Venus is going to be at Razelhag in Ophiuchus. So that's a really great day for, Venusian energy, which is all about love. Razelhag is like the third eye of Ophiuchus, or the head of Ophiuchus, which has a lot to do with psychic abilities and things, but it's also known as a like a neutral zone, I'll say, where, like, it is a star that is associated, it's aligned with, Razelhag, which is like up, but it is actually in the leg of Ophiuchus, the right leg and observed left leg. But it is like a neutral zone point. It's associated with Den Haag in Amsterdam, so there's a lot of kind of like international court of justice and international affairs and those sort of big organizational energy. So to sort of embody in Venusian codes sort of these higher vibrational justice and neutral energies. I would say.
Okay, awesome. Friar, you got anything? Got a take on this?
Not a thing.
Okay. I appreciate you being exceptionally clear. Somebody talk for a second. I have to plug in my phone so it doesn't die.
Okay.
What the little TikTok like quiz we took is about. That's kind of cool.
The TikTok quiz?
Yeah, no, yeah, the quiz. What was that for? What are we doing?
For fun.
It's
And
just for
learning.
fun?
It's for fun. It's for
okay.
learning.
Oh, okay.
You know.
I love it.
I think.
Yeah. Do you remember what Enneagram I was? Because I went to go look it up.
Oh,
and
yes.
I was like, oh my God, am I 7?
If you're not a 7, I'll eat my banana peel.
Okay. Right. I was actually trying to look it up this week, and then I read them all, and I was like, I don't know, which one do I want to be?
You are such a freaking 7. You are
Which
the
Enneagram am I this week?
I tried to do it and I got to the end of the test and it's like, now give us your email address. I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing all that.
No.
Yeah, it was one of those. You guys, we have a bunch of stuff in the comments. Hold on one second.
I suspect you're an 8, Abby. That's my suspicion.
I don't know. that means 0 to me. You
Maybe
could have
5.
just spoken Swahili and it would have made just as much sense.
That's fine.
So
it's good.
I'll have to look into that. Zubida Zwina said, but Apollo 16 is very interesting. Yes, I would agree. She also, or he or she, I don't actually know. I'm taking a guess. Very interesting how Mercury is associated with water because I can feel that flow within mercurial energy. Me too. I think that's good stuff. Matthew Blake said, oh yeah, I have Antares on my ascendant. Yes, that's rough. Is it above or below the ascendant? Because that makes a difference too. So I'd be interested to here. Astro Shamaran says, I've gone out of the WhatsApp chat, which we're not feeding me with good vibes. Spot on, Abby. I'm not sure what that was in reference to, but thanks. I'm glad I was right about something. That makes me feel good.
I think staying away from
yeah, pretty much everything, like social media.
Anything that feeds off anger and fear.
How's Instagram? Do you guys get the life sucked out of you on there? Is it?
No, actually,
I have so much energetic protection. Yeah, I like Instagram too. Yeah.
Okay, I never figured it out, but
yeah, nobody I know really uses it, and I was so back and forth with it.
That's why you like it, because the people you know aren't on there.
Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah, you're right. Actually, nobody's watching me. I feel free. I don't feel like somebody's watching and judging. I don't know. I have a bad.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a bad relationship with social media. I just never really understood it. I remember my girlfriend calling me up on the phone and was like, "Oh my God, get on your mom's computer. It's myspace.com. Sign up for an account. You have to. Everybody's on there." Yeah, and then that was how it happened, and I've never understood it since. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this for my friend, and I just don't get that. I just don't get it. I like connections like this. I like meeting in person, but the whole social media, like, I don't know. It never clicked for me. I don't know.
It has its uses, like if you're sharing. If you live far away from your family and you want to share pictures and stuff or message people, it's okay, but that's not what people spend their time doing. They just scroll and they just get bombarded with whatever goofy propaganda or advertisements. It definitely
they sell me a lot of stuff. They're trying to sell me a lot of shit.
Instagram is a lot.
And they listen to me too. So my personal life is being reflected back in reels at me, and I'm like, well, fuck you, Facebook. I don't want to see that. It just triggers me. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like it.
Matthew Blake says
Instagram's nice.
Well, I'm glad there's one. I think Friar, you're on Instagram too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a great community on Instagram. I really like it. And I think creating energetic boundaries, especially within the spiritual community, is really important when you're in that space, any social media.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't have your Instagram information. I only have your YouTube in the video description. So send me all your any other profiles or something that you have, and I will update the video so that anybody who watches it later, they will get it.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's Sachi the Seer on all platforms.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, it's like
All right.
X,
So
Twitter.
sometimes I see tarot readers pull like cards for the astrology report. So do you ever pull out the Pokemon cards and they're like, okay, let's test what I know against the cards and see what I'm getting for this, whatever reading you're doing. Let's say you're doing a lunar cycle reading, and is it, have you tested it to match the data from what you're getting? Do you know what I'm saying? Because some people,
Yes, I get what
associate
you're
tarot with astrology, and
yeah, it's, one's a gateway to the other. Once you get into any esoteric field, you end up, getting into the rest. But I've never like pit them against each other in terms of data. I used to do monthly readings per sign. And for each sign, and I would do it every month. So it would be like, for March, what's going on, Aries. I would talk about the transits in the reading and see the energy that's coming up. And sometimes I would get stuff that correlates with a very specific transit. Some Pokemon I associate with certain signs sometimes, or even a certain transit. And then obviously I have like oracle cards and stuff. So it's like if I get one, if I'm talking about like Mars retrograde, and then from the Black Moon astrology deck out comes Mars, it's like, okay, even more confirmation that that's what's influencing you the most, or have a moon oracle deck and things like that. So I used to do monthlies, but honestly that just became too draining. So I do just more personal readings now, and I'm focusing more on my readings on the spiritual gem leaders, and I don't talk too much about astrology because I'm more focused on helping the Pokemon community like heal and grow and introspect and things like that, kind of opening them up to the spiritual world rather than like, here's all the things.
Yeah, it's hard to understand too when somebody's brand new to getting a reading and they want to know all the things. And
yeah, but I have had correlations. I've never specifically asked certain things, but I've done readings that are like, what's happening during this lunar eclipse or solar eclipse or month or whatever, and yeah, some data definitely will come through.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because you seem really psychic. You seem you got all your clairs working. So
I do, yes, thankfully.
You almost
and
don't need
the
the cards.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to the point where you don't really need the cards?
I am just now getting there. It's very interesting that you say that. I still love using them because I think it's more helpful for other people to see the data. That way it's not like she's just pulling it out of her butt. But yes, I have the ability to, and it's just recently turned on. I have my Mercury at Antares, so I'm very connected to multidimensional reality. And I've recently been able to just receive like movies, or like thought forms, memories, and things from others. And then in a recent dream that I had, someone asked about something, and I immediately turned into a channel. I was like, this person's name is Monica Bauman, and she lived with her grandmother, and her parents were drug addicts, and this, and I just started I have no idea who this person is. And I'm like, okay, it's coming online, like literally as we speak.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mercury is just come into, an opposition. I don't know if it's coming or going with an opposition with Uranus right now. So yeah, they must have come into contact, and you're seeing
currently
that currently. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm into that. I'm into the psychic stuff. I'm into the clairs, and that's how I got into astrology too. Like I just started getting messages, and they started talking to me about transits, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because I, didn't really do astrology. I just got into tarot. I got into basically everything else. But then I had some stuff going on in my life, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I should listen, to what they're saying. And eventually, I started looking it up, and I was like, wait a minute, like, I'm not going to do math to figure out where the fuck Mars is or where Neptune is. Like, I'm a Venus person. Like, you're asking me to do like too much there. I'm not going to calculate that. I thought we were looking at the sky, and it did. It took me a little bit more time to realize that It's the real sky. I can get tropicalists to totally admit, they'll drop their guard. They'll be like, yeah, oh my God, I know. But this is the way it is. This is the way I have to. Like,
Yeah, they always claim it's like
I can
seasonal.
rip that mask right off. They'll
Yeah.
let it all drop and they'll tell me everything. But this is what I've built. Like when you've built your entire, you know, I don't want to say ego, but like self-esteem around something, it's really hard to take the blow, to take the hit. And, you know, for me, I'm used to being humiliated. I'm used to having those experiences. So it's like, oh, you know, I was wrong. Fuck. I'm willing to take another look at it. And I wanted to tell the world, like, I was like, oh my God, you guys are all wrong. What the fuck? Why aren't you listening?
Exactly.
So I'm still at that, like, what the hell? Like, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. You can't win them all. Can't win them all.
You can,
can't.
Nikki. I believe
you
it.
can.
I believe that you can. It just takes more education.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. I'm really going to try.
People will see it when their eyes are ready. And that's also something is, you know, the truth sets you free. And so when I first had my True Sky Awakening, I did have a lot of anger because I'm like, people, look, just like literally look, just don't even believe me. Go look at the sky for yourself. Like, believe nothing what you see online, including me. Just go see. Get your primary data source.
Oh,
and
I know. I told people that.
Refuse to do it. But I guess that's part of being a way shower and how things happen in waves. You know, it's like we're holding the vibe for the next generation of people who are just going to see. And hopefully, you know, these new generations are going to be born, you know, knowing and seeing and things like that. So I truly believe tropical astrology will die out like any other
Man,
fad.
I hope so.
Because a lot of their arguments are really null and void. Like even being a seasonal system, like no, it really isn't.
It doesn't have. Oh, I get that all the time.
It does not align with.
It doesn't make any sense. No.
Yeah, like I live in a deciduous forest, so I have all 4 seasons, and guess what? It's still Virgo season right now.
Yeah,
I know because I'm harvesting from my garden. Like it's really, really obvious. We have not had like the cold come yet, which is typically in, you know, end of Libra to Scorpio season when things actually start going dormant.
Oh my
and
God.
Also the whole southern hemisphere people, you know, it's just like, okay, so Aries means spring, then why?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, oh, that's infuriating.
I know.
Half of the world, like it really doesn't make sense, and especially for places that don't even experience you know, 4 season, it also doesn't make sense. So it's a very Western, you know, Eurocentric, very small portion that it actually applies to, and it's really just such a null and void system. I mean, sure, it works, but you have to be careful about where that power goes and what it does and who created it and so on. Because it's basically just a fake solar system. You're worshiping a fake solar system.
Yeah, and I've said that. I'm like, where are you dumping your energy patterns and who's using it? You know, there's definitely something going on here that doesn't add up. And if you're into magic, you're into energy, you're into all of that, then you know something's up. Like you don't want to F with that. I don't know. It's just so funny. Like it's the same people that still think like the devil's real, you know. I'm sorry, but the devil's not real. That was really made up. Like there's definitely evil shit out there, but stop talking about Saturn like that. Like
leave Saturn alone.
The devil.
Yeah.
Lord Ninurta didn't do anything but help people out. Okay.
Yeah.
It was cool. So you guys got to quit talking the smack.
Yeah.
Speaking of people saying crazy shit, Friar, do you want to pull up I think you had them up, but then they disappeared. Do you want to pull up the crazy thumbnails for this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Put it on incognito. I had some crazy ones. I was going to send you screenshots. I forgot. I didn't take any screenshots.
Are you in incognito?
Who, me?
You, yeah. You don't have to be. It's not a requirement, but
no, I just pulled up YouTube.
Okay, that's fine.
Flat out dangle on YouTube.
All right, let's see. What do we got? Major
We got-
astrology of November 24th, Mars, Pluto, opposition, Saturn, direct, Pluto, and Aquarius, Mercury. Oh, that's not, I mean, that's just telling you what's going on. It's
Yeah.
not too scary.
Oh, the shit's gonna hit the fan. Okay.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fear mongering.
Yeah. Getting the
You got-
clicks though. How
You know,
many they got?
Well, the shit hits the fan every day for everybody.
Not for
So
us.
It doesn't
it's not
ha-
shocking.
It doesn't have to, you guys. It does not have to. You can live a life of joy and peace and just be blissed out. Trust me.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to know how, contact me. All my stuff's here. I will let you know how I did it. So go ahead. Continue. Lady Luck. All right.
Here we go. Yeah.
Explosive Pluto Mars. Okay.
It's blowing up.
Explosions.
We may not survive. I may not survive.
Why do they say that?
I
have a
actually
Mars
like Pluto Mars opposition.
I do too.
It kind of mellows them both out because they have to be in balance. They're 180 degrees from each other. So Mars can't go to an extreme because Pluto's kind of holding it in balance, and then Pluto can't go to the extreme either because Mars is opposing it as well. I really like it. I think it really milds both of them out.
I agree with that.
It's the opposite explosion. Mars conjunct Pluto is the explosion.
Well, I don't know. I think I definitely can see. I think they go way overboard, probably with all of them. I think they're much more.
We don't need any explosion. We don't need any explosion. But I would say extreme transformation.
Strange experiences with that. But let's go on. What else is there
with Mars Pluto?
Well, yeah, okay. So Mars Pluto conjunction. I've had recently. I had somebody with that, and they weren't like a sex maniac or violent or like anything. They were just like the most wholesome, chill ass person I've ever met in my life. So obviously there's other, things going on in the chart.
Yeah, how well do you know them?
That's my sister.
Oh, okay. So you do.
I recently read for her because she's like, what's going on in my life?
That's a pretty intense conjunction.
Yeah, I have Mars and Pluto opposition. And I actually met somebody else recently on Instagram, the Galactic Centaur. She's my friend on there. And yes, hi. And
Same, yeah.
Yeah, hey. And I know she watches these, but she has the same thing. And we both were talking about how we come off as maybe intimidating to some people. And I think that might be that placement. But
I would put a Mars and either the opposition or conjunction Mars Pluto. That's gonna like way increase your clairsentience. Even for people that don't usually have a lot of it. But if like you have it in a natal chart, Nikki, if that's, I don't know if I heard that right, like that's really, really intense. I would think that's a difficult way to go through life because you're going to feel everybody's everything.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, but you get used to it.
Harris versus Trump, who wins? I think I settled that last week. Did I not? They had to make videos about it. Clearly, they didn't watch our video because I handled it. It's done.
Oh, the new moon in Scorpio, that trips me up. Oh, she's got fabulous highlights. Look at
but it's not in Scorpio. Does she know?
It's still in Virgo.
Yeah.
Still in Virgo.
Like by a lot.
Yeah, it's actually happening right on my IC. I was like, awesome.
Oh, wow.
This is great. Yeah, I love it.
Good luck.
Deep diving.
Yeah.
Oh, a unicorn.
I haven't had enough of that. I'm swimming. What else we got? Big changes underway. Grand sextile.
Yeah.
Unicorn Day. It's a unicorn day.
I'm not sure why that would be the 28th because Unicorn Day is definitely November 2nd.
I didn't know there was a unicorn day.
Yeah, around here every day is unicorn.
Yeah, right? If you work with the unicorns, it can be any day.
Yeah,
Venus isn't Sag already compared to what?
Nowhere near.
Well, if it's tropical, right?
Yeah, it's Kelly. Kelly, I've watched Kelly. Kelly's a pretty good educator for a tropical astrologer. I watch her stuff. I think that's her. I don't know. Maybe she was on one of those podcasts, like the astrology podcast. Yeah, maybe she was on one of those or the Kepler one because I'll watch those sometimes. Okay, Feng Shui. Meets astrology. Feng Shui.
Well, it's spelled kind of. Is that normally how it's spelled? Maybe it is. I don't know. Dyslexia, you guys, it gets me at the dumbest times. Abundance and astrology. Okay. That doesn't seem too scary.
Ooh, not at all.
Well, it's good to see
Somebody,
that most of the astrological community is grounded, at least, and trying not to fearmonger,
but not the ones that get any clicks. The ones that are crushing it in the algorithms, they're the scariest ones. It bums me out too,
fear
because when you
baiting.
watch them, like nothing's scary. Like it's just clickbait because it's not really that
Yeah.
scary.
Well, once people
I know, and
stop feeding off of their own fear and insecurity
Yeah.
and justifying dystopia, they'll find other information sources. Because that's what
Yes.
I noticed is a lot of the tropical algorithm is people addicted to their own pain. A lot of it is really low vibrational, like memes and kind of making excuses and trying to justify your behavior. Like, oh, I'm so clumsy because of this. Oh, I'm so careless because of this. Oh, he cheats on me because he's Gemini Venus or some BS. Like, what the heck are you even? Like, a lot of it just really is just
Mental illness.
sad. Yeah, probably.
Mental
I mean,
illness.
mental illness
That's what I heard.
plus like being in your own way. I think that's the biggest part. Being in your own way, wanting to be stuck on some sort of level. Because anyone who wants to make their life better does. You know, when you truly are at that point. And when you're ready to make your life better, new information is presented to you to match that new energy signature that you have.
Yep.
Yeah, there's all about that identity, you know, that we've built. And that's why, you know, I think there's such a emphasis on the sun sign, you know, and it being just all about the sun sign is because we've built this entire identity around being a Capricorn or being an Aquarius or being a Pisces. You know, it's just insane.
And
you're the entire wheel. You're actually the entire.
Yeah, it's such a small.
You're the entire wheel. It's all of you, and all.
Hey, but there are a lot of people
inside you
who will just bust out with, my Venus is here, my Mars is here, my, you know, and like go through their, like, that's how they present when they contact you. So like some people they're like, no, I'm the whole wheel and this is what's going on. And they'll just lay it out.
So they know.
Respectable.
Yeah.
A few things in the comments. You guys,
I like Crossy.
Yeah. Zabita Zwina, I'm so sorry if I'm not saying it right. Okay, so I'm looking it up, but I swear I looked this up 6 years ago and the moon was significantly older than the Earth, and now it's showing it's the same. Okay, so there's one.
No, that's not true. That's the moon. Okay, I actually read and saw different theories on the moon, but there were actual ancient texts and talk about the moon being built in front of these ancient people. So I don't know.
There's which describe the time before the moon.
I've had dreams that's the moon is like a base, you know, and it's where like I don't know, I work there. I'm always working.
That's good.
It's a base. So I don't know. I don't know. That moon stuff is weird, but how do we know we're not on just like a big organic spaceship and we're headed?
Well, I mean, we are technically.
I think we are. Yeah.
Technically.
Nobody can deny that.
Yeah. I mean, we got to be heading somewhere. We got to have a destination. Like,
look, we
have a goal.
We got twin flames and chosen ones.
Oh,
my God. All in one.
Is that different? What is the difference?
Ask the Eye of Oracle.
Oh, so we have to watch the video to find out what the difference is?
Obviously, you're not a chosen one.
Well, clearly.
Oh, no.
Like, chosen for what? Like, I don't know that I want to be a chosen one.
No, you don't. You don't. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything cool.
So okay. Lorna's Adventures After 50 said, do you all use ancient mythologies in interpretation of charts? Short answer for myself, I use the Mesopotamian meanings. So those, you know, range over like a 4,000 year period, but, you know, they overlap. Nikki, Sachi, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I like to pull from mythologies as well. So that's where the foundation of most of my stuff comes from.
Minus the rapey stuff?
Minus all the rapey
Okay.
stuff, but it's a lot of it's, I don't want to say intuitive, but it is learned. It is like, yeah, never mind. Never mind. I mean, it's sciencey and yeah, never mind.
Sachi, how about you?
I pull from a multitude of different mythological histories. If I feel called to pull from Indian myth, that information will come in. A lot of times I will do Greco-Roman reference points just because that's what a lot of my clientele is familiar with. So it gives them a little bit of background information, but by no means is it limited to that. I also do some Chinese astrology and Arabic. I do a lot of like language stuff in it, and then I also do galactic history as well. So like way back.
Melia Norby said the other night I had a dream that I was watching an eclipse and the moon separated from the sun, like it shifted off to the left very quickly. Then it was just a black sun remaining. Drops of Jupiter 1213 said, right. I don't need anyone to tell me that I'm special. I already know I'm the only one like me. That's pretty special. That is true. That is absolute. That's an absolute fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nikki, I don't know anybody out there's been having any crazy dreams. Nikki's been reporting crazy dreams. My dreams are always insane, so I can't tell the difference. Okay, they're nuts. But Nikki says she swears they're weird. Or anybody you guys out there have any weirdness going on?
Yeah, they're definitely weird dreams.
Yeah, mine are standard weirdness. A lot of prophetic stuff coming through for me lately.
Yeah, is it lame? Is it like stupid stuff that you don't need that information? Like I dreamt that Alice went down this giant slide, and then the next day we went to the park and they were putting up the giant slide for like the winter time where like people, because it snows and then people like take the inner tube and they go down. And I'm like, okay, so there's the giant slide. I just like, why do I need that? Why are you guys showing me that? Right? Like that's not,
Probably just some confirmation like, hey, remember how psychic you are? Remember how prophetic you are and how you can see into the future? Yes. That's how I take those little things. Like
I get those every day. It's useless information, I think. I appreciate it though. I
get it because it's confirmation and it helps me know that I'm on the right track because I'm like, okay, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I know I'm aligned because I've already seen this and experienced, and now I have a lot of data. Like we went to the park yesterday, and that night I had a dream about this girl named Ariana. She was driving a minivan, and her like cart didn't start when she was leaving the park, and we were leaving the park right as same color minivan from my dream was pulling in. Exact girl, looked exactly like her. I was like, "Hi, Ariana."
Well, and that seems helpful. Was her. Yeah. No, that's super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like, having that confirmation, but I also get other types of dreams of kind of like past life reconciliation stuff, plus like seeing things like months and months and months into the future. Like, for example, my grandfather visited me 3 months before he passed away and told me that he was going to be passing away and asked some things of me. And so I was prepared. It helps just bring kind of peace into life, kind of knowing what's happening.
Yeah, those karmic dreams are crazy. You feel you're like reliving some other lifetime. You're like, oh my God, like I know these people. It's totally different. The same thing, people coming to visit you. You guys, my horse, he's old. He's like 32, 33. My mom, God bless her, she's been keeping him alive. Like he should have kicked in forever ago. But he like I've been having lots of dreams about him over the last few months. I'm like, oh, he's getting ready to go. And then like last week I had this dream, but it wasn't like a normal, oh, I dreamt about him. It's like, no, he's here and we're like talking, we're conversing. I don't know if you guys out there had those, like it's different than dreaming about someone than dreaming with someone. It's totally different. So don't know if anybody's had those experiences. Drops of Jupiter 1213 get symbols and things in the dreams. Also, one ended up being weird from a Norse alphabet in the Pisces thing with the circles. Not sure what that even was. Matthew said the Vesica Pisces. Oh, and she said, yeah, that's the one. All right.
Cool.
Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, it's good to know those symbols to get that information.
Yeah, Malia Norby said something about the black sun remaining. It just kind of shot with me like Saturn. Wasn't Saturn like making aspect to that eclipse that we had? I can't remember. No,
I can't remember.
There's
I don't know.
like
I don't remember
black hole
either.
sun technology from different hijacked stars, which is like not good. Black hole sun energy is like not very good. So hopefully observing it helps collapse that. Because a lot of that technology is supposedly helping with like artificial cloning and a lot of the interference here on Earth of people who try to be puppeteers and those civilizations and entities that try to, control things. They use black hole sun technology.
Okay, I'm gonna totally shift gears real quick. And I know it just came back to me, and I don't know why I didn't bring this up before, and I know I'm like on this, you guys, I know. But technically, if you follow the electric universe theory, they can't prove accretion, like the creation of the planets in the solar system or like in the disk around the sun. Like there's no proof that that's a thing. And according to like the electric universe theory, planets, including gas giants and even suns and whatnot, they're actually born in these big clouds, like these nebulas, and then they kind of just like I don't know why, they'll kind of like fly off into wherever, and they get captured in various gravities, depending, in which case technically then most of at least the bigger gas giants in our solar system, and probably a lot of the little satellites are probably also not from our galaxy. And I think that's something Velikovsky talks about too. So I thought about it, and I'm bringing it back. If you guys can't tell, my feelings are a little hurt because I specifically worship Lord Dana, like that's like the moon god, so like, not a spaceship. I'm okay, you guys.
It's not a spaceship.
I don't think it's a spaceship. I heard the stuff about
No,
it's ringing like a bell when they land and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
That's actually very possible. There's also, so the electric universe people, they have like, and I'm pointing you guys to where to go to find the information, because I'm definitely like butchering it over here. But there's also a model that would explain how, so like basically space, which is electrified in this theory, would push down on each of the planets to create like more spherical shapes. But in that, this mosquito has been biting me every night for the last couple of weeks, and it's making me, and he almost tried to get me just now. Hold on, you guys. Hold this thought. Remind me. I gotta get him.
Get him.
Vampires are real.
I actually changed my entire lifestyle and diet, and I noticed that I don't get bit by mosquitoes.
Okay, train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, so anyways, so on the outside of the planet where it's pushing down, there would actually be this layer on the inside. And if that's the case, and it has something to do with basically like the electrons and whatnot, they're like daisy chaining each other. But in this model, you would get a hollow Earth. And even like one which was potentially habitable. And that would be the same thing for like the gas giants and everything. And there was a reason I was bringing that up. I forget why. I totally lost my train of thought.
God.
I think
hollow
to do
Earth
with like hollow moon because of the
yeah, that's right.
So
so the fact that there might be a hollow moon, like I don't see why that would be that strange. I don't think that it would naturally make it necessarily like a satellite that was pulled into, like a spacecraft or something. It seems like a lot of work, especially when you consider that like the other technology that interdimensional and or extraterrestrial entities have. Like, what do we really need to build this giant thing? That just seems kind of like a, I don't know, waste of time and energy. I don't know.
I have no idea. I've heard that it is because it moves the water, it controls the emotional bodies of humanity as well as speeds up menses for increased breeding. If you look at humanity in reference of like being created as a slave race or kind of that ancient aliens theory.
Yeah, I have God, we got to visit that. We have to visit that theory.
We're gonna do
we are very into like the spiritual mumbo jumbo, the woo woo stuff, you know. So where does that and the alien stuff come together? You know, here we talk about angels, we talk about spirit guides, and what if we're talking about these aliens? You know, what if that's what we're really talking about? We don't know. That's why I would love to have more people on.
Yeah, if anybody out there knows of anybody cool, not too cool, because if they're too cool, they're not going to respond to my emails.
Just
but like
ask.
someone,
Just ask.
I wouldn't say that.
No,
It's okay.
I've tried. Like, it's hard to get, you know, like it's hard to get them. But I mean, I'll reach out to them. But if you guys know anybody who's into like ancient aliens, somebody on YouTube or Instagram or what, I don't have Instagram. So somebody else like Fry or Nikki would probably have to reach out to them. But we're trying to get people together to do a show about it. I have my own experiences with UFOs and aliens, but I'll save that, you know, for the other show. I probably already talked about it on one of these, but for anybody new who hasn't seen it. Oh, thanks. Drops of Jupiter 1213 says that you look amazeballs in your costume. I appreciate that. That makes me feel, I assume you're talking to me. Matthew Blake says, I dig the electric universe theory. Drops of Jupiter 1213 says they've been lying since day one, believe nothing, and everything gets tricky. Yes, it does. Also, I want to be Mother Earth, but universe in me belly. I'm not, but the universe in me. Okay, I'm not sure how I was supposed to interpret that. I'm assuming autocorrect. Matthew Blake says time to go spelunking, you know, hollow earth and whatnot. Drops of Jupiter says low on funds for props. It takes some hits to though to be hollow. Yeah. And then I feel the moon unless magnets or something, but it pulls hard. Yeah, you guys want to know? Is this a gross story? I shouldn't tell anybody this story.
Hard to say.
Hey, this is a menstruation story. So if that's not okay, if like not kosher for you, mute for like 30 seconds. I'll make it quick. Okay.
So Sumerian, basically. Then, yeah.
Maybe, yes. So I noticed, and I don't know why it took me so long to notice, but if my cycle happened to, because you guys, female cycles, they're not exactly 28, 27 days. They vary from, you know, female to female. And but generally speaking, you know, it's around there. So they're not gonna line up with the moon every single time. I mean, it just doesn't work that way because the moon's not exactly 28 days either. It's, you know, it's different. So anyways, the first time I noticed it, there was a full moon. And I just, again, mute, ready? This is your time. I was in the grocery store and like started gushing blood. Okay. Like it was so bad. It was like a murder scene. Okay. And I'm like, what is happening to me?
Nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah. So like what's happening right now? But I noticed following that, I was always kind of like after being traumatized, I'm like paying more attention. Every single time it's close to the full moon, like it's really, really heavy and like, you know, like bad. So talking about, because I'm only bringing it up because you guys mentioned it in the comments, but it does really pull on your body and the emotions and stuff. And I know every medical professional out there who's worked in hospitals, they all will tell you, they're like, I don't care what any scientist says, the crazies come out, the murders increase, like stuff goes down because of the moon. So it really does have a big effect.
Dr. Danny confirmed it for us.
That's
too.
right. That's right.
She did. No, that I had a full moon. Period. I had a full moon cycle. I was like a monster. I was like,
see, it does things.
Yeah, it definitely increased the flow.
Grew some horns and yeah, it's like evil.
I still keep my halo, but it is definitely an intense flow.
It's like semi-evil, okay? Like sort of, but not really.
You guys, I had a ton of fun. Sachi, it's been great to have you on. Learn all
thank
about.
you for having me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there were so many we didn't get to talk about too. Like you were.
It's always that way.
I know. I wanted to bring so much up.
Well, she just got to come back on.
Yeah, you'll have to come back.
I would love to come back, and you're also welcome to message me or email me if you want to chit chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything that you know. I had no idea that you were a co-owner of the True Sidereal Crew because I follow you.
True Sky Crew.
True Sky Crew. Sorry.
The True Sky Crew.
I apologize. I just see the TSC. That's all I see.
Yeah, someone kind of copied our thing and named it the True
Yeah.
Sidereal Crew. So that's an account that we are not associated with in any way.
Oh my God, I hope, oh, now I got to go back and see who I follow. Oh no.
Well, you're
Oh,
welcome
no,
to follow
I'm
anyone you
tricked.
want, of course.
Yeah, I probably,
But just letting it, yeah, no, we're the True Sky Crew and that's it.
Well, I
Awesome.
will put Sachi's more information. So you guys, but like she said, she's at Sachi the Seer on all of the stuff. But I'll be sure to link to those two in the video description. You guys, thank you so much for being with us today. We had a lot of fun going through your comments and the new moon, you know, and then thank you, Friar. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you again, Sachi, and to everybody out there. We will be back next week, same time, same place. And until then, we just love you so much. And we're just so very, very grateful. So we'll see you later.